Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. Today we've got a very exciting show, 2 massive Star Wars news tidbits, and I just want to say we are so close to 140,000 subscribers. Please be sure to hit the button down below if you've not done so, but no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight in. I was going to cover this story the other day when I first read about it, but at the time there were no real reliable sources talking about the story, but now word has spread. Once again, Lucasfilm is being sued. If you're familiar with the deleted scenes of Star Wars A New Hope, then you're probably familiar with Kustark and Anthony Forrest. They played 2 of Luke Skywalker's childhood friends on Tatooine at Toshi Station, Cammy Marstrap and Leia Sloanosna. These 2 are pretty obscure characters. Cammy appears in the expanded version of The Last Jedi when Luke Skywalker is having a dream on Octo Island further down the timeline. However, if you watch the Book of Boba Fett, the 2 characters re-emerge, being portrayed by 2 new actors. But the original duo who played them, Kustark and Anthony Forrest, are suing Lucasfilm for £190 million. That's over $230 million. And the reason? Litigation filed in Los Angeles has claimed Lucasfilm profited off their likeness, and intellectual property rights were exploited. And you know, if you're just a normal Star Wars fan, as I am, and you're reading this, you're probably wondering, why has it taken these 2 over 4 decades to file this lawsuit? The reason is because they just found out their deleted scenes have been made available online and on DVD. Plus, the characters were reintroduced in Book of Boba Fett. And while they were different actors, they're claiming Lucasfilm profited off their likeness and infringement of intellectual property. And this is not the first time Lucasfilm has been faced with this kind of litigation. There is an ongoing lawsuit against them for using Peter Cushing's likeness for Tarkin in Rogue One, without explicit authorization. I suppose in the Tarkin case, when you're talking about digital recreation of characters, the use of CG and deepfake, I think that's a bit different. But in this instance, we're talking about ownership of a character versus performance rights, publicity rights, and likeness rights. It will be an interesting case to follow. There's an argument to be made, it's going to be an uphill battle for the actors. I'm not a legal expert by any means, and I don't know how this is going to play out, but if they signed a contract back in the 70s when they filmed the scenes, this would have allowed Lucasfilm to use the footage as they wish. And while there is the ethical question of likeness, Cammy Marstrap and Leia Sloanosna are Star Wars characters just like any other, and Lucasfilm owns them. And this might be a case settled in private. And it should be said, aside from the deleted scenes, aside from Book of Boba Fett, the 2 characters have appeared in other Star Wars media, often non-canon. For example, the Star Wars radio drama of 1981, or the Legends junior novels The Fight for Justice, Rebel Force Renegade, and an expanded universe classic, Darksaber. But obviously those don't count. They're not visual representations of those characters. We're talking about their visual likeness in on-screen content. And so this lawsuit concerns the deleted scenes in which they appear and what they're calling Lucasfilm's unauthorized distribution of them. There are lots of lawsuits against Lucasfilm at the moment. The most prolific one, which just got another update, is that of Gina Carano against Disney. Speaking to X via sffgazette.com, the actress says the case continues to move forward. It took Star Wars fans aback in October when we found out the case is going to court, and one of the demands, if she were to win, is to reinstate her as Cara Dune. So, as Game Rant says, it's not impossible that the character might return. Not for The Mandalorian and Grogu, but if the show were to return for a season 4, if she wins, you never know. Lucasfilm was also sued for the so-called egregious firing of a producer on The Acolyte, and that was a year before the show released. Executive producer Karen McCarthy, who worked on the show from its very early inception, was fired after just a few weeks of work. According to Variety.com, as a result of its bad faith and wrongful termination, Lucasfilm deprived Miss McCarthy's significant employment. Would this have changed the outcome of the show? No one really knows. But moving on, my dear friends, just a couple of hours ago, Daisy Ridley spoke with Collider.com. Some interesting information has just come out about her Star Wars movies. I was about to say movie singular, but we know for better or for worse, depending on what your viewpoint is, Rey is said to appear in several of them. Probably not the best direction for Star Wars movies going forward. Let's hope for the best. So what was said? Well, it turns out Daisy herself has much more of a creative say than she did on episodes 7, 8 and 9. Now, despite what people think, Daisy has been rather critical of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, so maybe this is good news. When asked if she was going to be a producer on it, she says this: "I don't know if I'd be a producer on it, but I've certainly been more involved. I'm involved in as much as I know what's going on. I know the story, I know what's going on with the script. So I'm aware of all of that. And I think what's been really wonderful is being more involved from the start to finish. Really coming to set, knowing this is the absolute best way we can tell the story." She says, "These are the best actors for the job." Now here's the thing, she's not going to be entirely objective. Whether the story and the script is good, she's been paid a lot of money to come back. So of course she's going to praise it. Of course she's going to promote it, say she hopes for the best. But we don't even know when the Charmin Obaid-Chinoy movie is going to go into production. And honestly, we have no idea what's going to happen with this film. At the same time, my dear friends, as Collider.com say, Ridley is not going to bash the character or bash the production or even the sets of the sequel trilogy. However, she was vocal about problems in episode 8. So like I say, her being more involved might be a good sign, especially in light of recent comments from the screenwriter about George Lucas. And with Star Wars Celebration just around the corner, with Oscar Isaac confirmed to be there, I reckon a massive cast announcement is coming in April, and we'll have a better idea of the overall picture then. I'm sure I'm not the only person who feels this way, and let me know in the comments down below if you agree, but I just find it hard to get excited about this movie. Nothing substantial in the way of the story, the plot, has come out about it since Star Wars Celebration in London when it was first announced. With a change of writers, with no confirmed production date, Daisy Ridley saying empty words like this means nothing. And how many times has she said, an update is coming soon, big exciting things to come? Until we have an official trailer and release date, most fans aren't even convinced this movie's ever gonna happen. So look, is it a good sign that Daisy Ridley is gonna be more hands-on? Well again, how seriously can we take this? Lucasfilm wasn't willing to hear out Mark Hamill about Luke, so why would they take Daisy's advice? In other Star Wars updates, unfortunately there wasn't an Andor trailer at the Super Bowl, but we do expect one very soon. However, there were some big goings-on at Megacon Orlando. The cast of Skeleton Crew was reunited, and at the panel for the show, director Bryce Dallas Howard made a special appearance, and as she arrived on stage, an enthusiastic fan shouted, "You saved Star Wars." Bryce is a great director. I'm hoping she's given more Star Wars down the line, maybe a movie, maybe another spin-off, and you can understand why Star Wars fans think she's so brilliant. Her work has been fantastic. It is a bit hyperbolic to say she saved Star Wars, I wouldn't go that far, but I definitely think she's one of the best. To say an individual saved Star Wars is to misunderstand how the studio works, how the industry works. One director who does a great job doesn't mean they're responsible for the success of a singular project, especially when there are so many other people working on it, writers, choreographers, coordinators, the stunt team, cinematographers, and so on and so forth. But Bryce Dallas Howard is great, and she deserves the praise and definitely deserves the recognition.